Is he about to talk about that
to
prediction?
talk about game key cards.
Oh, please, don't start lagging. Is lagging this quality? Okay, maybe it is.
We need to talk
Let
about
it be.
game key cards
Where's the
because
problem?
they suck and nobody,
Don't
or
tell me.
at least very few people, want to buy them, as evident by the
Nobody wants. I mean, if you like the online game is the same price of key cards, why? Why we will buy key cards if you can have it online without going out of your house? I think maybe it's actually that's the strategy of Nintendo. Probably was. My Hero Academy, Death Note, and Digimon games in live stream. I think the only one that I'm kinda curious about is Digimon, because the other two I never watched that animes, and I'm not planning to watch honestly. Let's go.
fact that third-party games on the Switch 2 are selling beyond the lowest of low expectations the publishers and developers had. And I have a lot of
Do you know? I think you guys know. You know about like Nintendo Nintendo curse they have, because every time they have a new console, how I mean, they have a new console, it's great. Then they do another console or another new feature about that console and gets really low. Then they do another console, they do new features, it's hyped, everyone loves it. So Nintendo is always like bam bam bam. It's like and bam and and bam. And this is, yeah, we knew it. The Nintendo 2 would have a problem because Nintendo Switch. Why I keep calling Nintendo 2? Switch, the normal Switch, when it came out, it was amazing. Everyone loved it, and I think the the thing will make the prices go low and all this go low was actually the camera. I was not feeling the camera, but actually people are loving it. So, well, but it's not the camera. It's the game cards. It's the game cards. Because, every time Nintendo do something new in the world of games, or is like absolute amazing, or is the worst idea ever. And it's always like this, like, best thing ever you ever did in your life. Then the next thing they do, oh no, it's terrible, don't do that. Then they do another stuff that is amazing and you'll be like, oh my god, yes, they did so well. And then next time they try to innovate again, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, forget about it, bro, forget about it. People like it because it was a new console after Wii U and 3DS. I think they just choose the two worlds, from Wii U and 3DS, and like boom, and Nintendo Switch came out. Also, let me close the door. I don't even know my cat is here. I'm a terrible mother. No, my cat is not even here. I don't know what it is. Kitty, kitty? No kitty, kitty? Okay. Because I don't think you listen to echo, but it really pisses me off doing the streams and having like a echo behind me. So annoying. Anyways, let's keep it going. Oh my god.
Thoughts as to why, and it's not just because they're game key cards, but it's mostly because they're game key cards. And unless we do something about it, other than not buy them.
First, the problem with the boxes. The boxes could have been so much smaller. Like, why you are spending so much from the environment to do a normal box if it comes to something like this? Small. Like, why Nintendo? Why? What about the planet, bro? What about the planet? Why are you spending so much to do with...
Whoops. I'll talk about that in a second. Directly, I made Hey Nintendo, the eShop Sucks, where I talked about, take a guess. And now on the Switch 2, Nintendo has actually addressed a lot of those issues. And while I'm not taking sole credit for that, even though the video had over 1 million views and surely Nintendo had to see it, and some of my actual suggestions were taken exactly and utilized on the new eShop, it's more the case of when we actually vocally...
I think Nintendo knows him. Nintendo knows this guy. There's no way Nintendo never saw one video of this guy.
Talk about it and say what we like and don't like and then share that. That's how change happens. And goddamn it, I'm a physical...
That's how Sonic movie is one of the best movies in the world, because it was about to be the worst. It was about to be one of the worst. But now we love Sonic movies. We love Sonic movies, and we just want more.
Collector, I don't know if you can tell by looking behind me, I have a lot of Switch 1 games. I do not want to do this anymore. I made a commitment at launch to buy every single Switch 2 game because I wanted to make the video where I reviewed them all. And I decided within myself that at least buying the game key cards is better than digital. It's an empty cart, it's a waste of plastic and a bit of artwork, but at least I can put something on the shelf.
It's a waste of plastic. For sure, it's a fucking waste of plastic. What the fuck did you have in your mind, Nintendo? You are a billionaire company. What the hell? You should be caring about the environment. What is your public? Isn't your public Gen Z? Sorry.
But I gotta be honest,
too
I
much.
think I'm done. Because this sucks. A little bit of my soul died every single time I bought one. And so I can't imagine how you feel or how anyone feels going into a game store and being faced with the decision of, do I buy a hunk of plastic or just go home and get it digital? And that apparently is the issue a lot of people are having. As I said,
traveling by car to go to the store to buy a game, and you better just go to the store, buy the card with money, and then you buy games.
Third-party games on Switch are selling well below the lowest of expectations. I think this is clearly because of the game key card format. Nobody wants to buy these. I even did a poll on my podcast recently and asked, would you rather buy a game key card of a game or just buy it digital? And 70...
I'm gonna tell you, I have a Nintendo Lite and I already buy it digital. I already buy my games digital, okay? I don't buy it, cause imagine if you buy it, and you don't like it. I don't know how to explain this, but for me it's easier just to go to the Nintendo shop, be like, oh, this game seems cool. I see the trailer, I see all of that, and then okay, I'm gonna buy it. It's simpler than, I don't know. I don't know, bro. Maybe it's just me.
80% of my viewers on a Nintendo-themed podcast happily voted I would rather just buy digital. And here is where the issue lies.
But I think we already were like that. I don't know. Maybe most of us already buy it digital because they didn't have the patience. But like before Nintendo Switch 2, the games you buy, they were yours, okay? They were yours for life. It doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. So it doesn't happen anymore, anyway, anywhere. You can say, oh, but PlayStation what? But PlayStation what? If the shop, if the Nintendo shop, this is the normal. If the shop, PlayStation shop, is not working, is out of service, you can open the game of your CD. You have a fucking CD, and if the shop is not working, the servers are not working, you cannot open the fucking game. You buy the game for what? You better just buy it online, because if the servers don't work, you'll be like, oh, okay, I will try tomorrow. But you have the freaking CD and you can play it because of online shit. Of online shit. That's
Nintendo.
I think that's the reason why. This is one of the reasons why I didn't sell my Wii yet. I didn't sell my Wii yet. I have a Wii, a normal Wii from 2006 or something like that. I didn't sell it because of that. Because I can just connect to my TV. I have my CDs and I can play the games. Simply as that.
No, it's easy to point at Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 and say, oh, look at the corporate greed of this little green squidgy opting for the cheap game key card and not trying to buy a physical. Well, you might know this already, but they didn't really have an option, because the only cartridges that Nintendo have pushed out for people to buy are the game key card.
Wait a minute. Why we have ads? Wait a minute, chat. Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. Not spelling fights. I'm saying what the world is saying, actually. Everyone has the same vision. I mean, if you are like a really young person, you probably prefer like that. I don't know. But being a person that is old enough that I played games on CD. Okay? Games on CD. And was it? Because guess what? My parents, to play games, they just needed a coin. Okay? A coin. They put it in a machine. And they could just play the game for like 5 minutes. And that's it. Okay? So we evaluate from that to have your own game. You spend lots of coins, let's say. You spend lots of coins in that game. And it's yours. And now, you spend the coins. You still spend the coins on it. And you don't even know if you have that game forever. You don't even know. Because if the services of the game go off, or even if the servers go off, or whatever the issue, you don't have that game anymore. But let me tell you, I kind of prefer like that, buying online, than have my own CD, because, well, yeah. And normally I don't spend too much in a game. I don't. Okay. Ooh, I wish we had that in Portugal. I think we never had like that in Portugal that much. I don't think we have that much in Portugal, actually. But I wish. Because I love arcade machines. I just love. My PC sounds like it's going to fly. GameCube.
To talk about GameCube. key cards.
PlayStation
because
2
they
consoles.
suck. And nobody, or at least very few people, want to buy them. As evident by
Wait.
the fact that
Stop right there.
third-party games on the Switch 2 are selling
Can you
beyond
please stop? Thank you. Thank you.
the lowest
They
of
sell-
low expectations the publishers and developers had. And I have a lot of thoughts as to
Can
why.
you let
and
me
it's not
talk?
just because they're game key cards, but it's mostly because they're game key cards. And the lowest of low expectations the publishers
Thank you. No, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. We were validated. Anyways, they sell PlayStation 2 consoles. You don't know and you don't understand how much I love PlayStation 2. You don't know how much is my love for that console. And I'm a Nintendo person. This is betrayal. This is betrayal. If I say this to a Nintendo worker, they are probably gonna kill me. It's a joke, obviously. But Nintendo will not like the fact that I love PlayStation 2. They will not, because I have a Wii at home. I don't have a PlayStation 2 at home, I have a Wii. If I tell them that I love PlayStation 2, they will be like, are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? We're gonna just like deactivate all the games you have in your Nintendo on your account. We're gonna deactivate your Nintendo account. And then I will be like, oh shit, no more Overwatch nights. Depression coming. Anyways, I just want to say that. that I love PlayStation 2. What's the best one? What's the
green
best one?
squidgy opting for the cheap game key card and not trying to buy a
Cheap.
physical. Well, you might know this already, but they didn't really have an option because the only cartridges that Nintendo have pushed out for people to buy are the game key cards, which are an empty blank game key card with like 1 megabyte of
Yeah.
storage data that essentially just triggers a download from the eShop onto your system and stores absolutely no information and memory, or a 64 gigabyte card that each of these games have. That is the only other option. And you know what else makes me mad? Even madder than the game key cart situation. It's when I'm watching
What?
a YouTube video and it gets interrupted by an ad or a sponsored spot. It sucks. This rant is sponsored
It
by
just
Surfshark.
happened.
A VPN will mask your IP
It
address.
just
You can
happened.
also change your IP.
It just happened.
Man.
I love he says it, then he starts going with
key-
an ad.
I would even before
Adding,
account-
adding. Surfshark, can you
Card that you-
also sponsor
people-
me?
and
I would
the
love
more-
that. I'm just kidding.
guys much. I actually forgot how mad I was about these game key cards.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this guy's still pissed. So let's let him finish the video. The more gigs you have
both.
and the more express fast SSD super micro fast card that you have that Switch 2 games need to run in, the more expensive that is. So even for a 64 gig card, it costs $15 on the developer and publisher side to buy the cart from Nintendo to release their game. So suddenly, when you have a game like Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, which is $40
What?
already,
What? They need to pay Nintendo for it. No, I'm shocked. You develop a game for Nintendo and you need to pay them for the cards. Well, I don't know what was before, but I'm kind of shocked with this information right now. My dad has a CNES, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, PS1, OG Cheesebox, Nintendo 64. Meanwhile, I have PS2, PS3, Wii, Wii U, Nintendo DS, Nintendo 3DS, and the Switch. Getting the Switch 2 in a couple months. You have the full console game history. You have the full game history at home. You have the full game history at home, bro. What is going on? Your dad is not from the USA, right? Because Trump put a new drive that to oh, bro. No. No, Kiwi is okay. Kiwi is okay, don't worry. We both are. You both are? You are both. Oh. From Canada. Yeah. I think you already told here in the chat.
They would be looking at cutting into almost exactly half of their profits, which means their options are digital and get full price for their game, or physical and lose half of their profit margin. So what's the other option? Game keycard. And that's why these exist, and that's why all of these developers are opting for them. In fact, Nintendo should really have done a game keycard even for Mario Kart World, because Mario Kart World is only about a 25 gigabyte game, which means over half of the cartridge it's on isn't being used. So why isn't Nintendo offering these developers and these publishers other cheaper cards? Like on the Switch 1, for example. The Switch 1 had a range of cards that you can buy. 5, 10 gigs all the way up to 32. All I know is the largest card was actually pretty expensive. For Switch 1, the Resident Evil collections, for example, they'd get a smaller cart, put one game on it, and then the rest would be a DLC download code. That could be seen as greed. But on the Switch 2, developers really don't have a choice. And I ask you again.
That's really complicated. It's more easier if you buy it online for the developers, for you, for, you know, easier. It's easier.
Why did Nintendo have all these card sizes on Switch 1? And then they didn't on Switch 2. Well, a theory I have, when you play a Switch 2 game, you have three options. You can buy Cyberpunk and you can run the game off the cartridge, or you can download Cyberpunk and you can run it off of your Switch locally, or you can download Cyberpunk, run it off the Express micro SSD in your Switch. And there are people that have done comparisons of all three. Actually, the cartridge is just a fraction slower, but it still manages to keep up with those other super fast forms like the Express SD.
Wait.
So these
Wait. Game card. I think my card is this one.
slower, but it still manages to keep up with those other super fast forms like the Express SD. So these cartridges that Nintendo are putting out are super fast and super expensive. So I think even if they made a 10 gigabyte or a 20 gigabyte or a 32 gig and gave developers more options, they would still be expensive. And maybe Nintendo hasn't figured that out yet, so they just offered two versions. But that doesn't help us now, and it sucks for the third-party developers that chose to support the Switch on launch. Going back to the Wii U, there was no third-party developers or publishers willing to support Nintendo and their weird, wacky choices with the gamepad and how hard it was to develop games for that console. And moving into Switch 1, they really had to repair that trust. But it meant there wasn't many third-party developers willing to support Nintendo in the first year. It was a slow crawl to start getting those games pouring into the system. And a lot of developers actually feel like by the time the Switch was exploding in popularity, they'd missed their mark. So when it came to Switch 2, there were a lot of developers that wanted to jump on board right away. And then they found out they weren't going to be able to do a physical on the cartridge release unless they spent $15 into their profits. So they all opted for the game key cards. And then the expectations were not met and they sold at the lowest of low. And you know how much that sucks? That Nintendo actually managed to get third-party developers back on board and they all got burned right off.
Well, it's gonna be 1 year or 2 years of Nintendo Directs with just 30 minutes. Oh yeah. We are not gonna have lots of games coming out in this Nintendo uh, before they resolve this problem. Because if they don't, forget about games you are waiting to go to Nintendo. Just forget.
The rip, because a lot of these developers wanted to be there day one because there's such a thing as an impulse purchase. They have their console, they got their controller, they got Mario Kart, and they're looking at the shelf and they're like, what else could I go home with today? That's the moment. That's when everyone's in the store. You got free marketing on all of the Switch 2 games, and you want people to pick up, and every single one was a Game Key card. And I know this happened to you. Every single person looked at those and went, well, I can get it digital later if I decide I want that. I guess there's no rush in getting it.
Yeah.
There was no immediate, I should buy this because it's not anything you're buying. That's why the third-party games did so badly. It's because there was no impulse purchases.
It's not just that. You just be like, oh, I can buy it later, you know? You have an option. It's not like, oh, it's sitting in front of you. I need to buy it now because if I don't buy it now, I will probably lost it forever, you know? Like the music CDs. Sometimes I go to the store and we start to see like the albums, music albums. And, you know I have Spotify and I can listen the same album on my own phone. But I really like to have the physical versions of it, of some albums I like. Not all full songs I have on my Spotify. No, it's just like albums I love. I like to have the digital. I like to have the physical version. And there is no way nowadays. I mean, if you take probably out Apple Music, something like that, but it's still a streaming platform. But taking a little bit that. Okay. Anyways, if I go to the store and I just see one copy of the album that I'm looking for and I want it so much, and it's like, oh, then I cannot find it. The next time I came here, I will probably not find it anymore. So, it's kind of an impulsive purchase. What he's saying right here is that I'm like, I will not catch it next time. I should probably take this home today. And it doesn't happen here because people look at a game and be like, oh, I have this version on my Nintendo Switch, kinda. I can just go open the store and play the game, I think the only way they can solve this problem is just give up on the on the cards. They just give up on the cards and be fully online. Probably sucks for a lots of reasons, but it's better for probably the developers. They don't need to spend money on it. They can just publish it on the shop and they will save better with that. I know, call me lover of Nintendo. I am a huge fan of them, and it's sad that they became greedy, but you know what I expect. Companies aren't your friends. Well, I think Nintendo is greedy for a long time. Not now. It's not something now. It's not something now. I think Nintendo was always greedy, but that's another story. That's another story.
In general, wanted to support Game Key cards. Okay, wait. Even though I'm wearing the same shirt, I'm filming this a few days later because something happened today. Well, kind of nothing happened today, but something happened today relevant to this, because Nintendo just did their annual shareholders meeting, and in that meeting, a shareholder called the Game Key cards a half-baked measure and asked why so many third-party publishers use them. He also asked whether or not they impact sales. And he asked this directly to the president of Nintendo, Furukawa. So while Furukawa didn't really give an answer, he just said that game key cards were conceived as an option to help publishers bring their games to retail, and that they were consulted with ideas on how to sell in this format. He didn't really want to talk about how it impacted.
Yeah, amazing. But you know how terrible that was, right? You know how terrible that was for many reasons.
Sales, because of course
knows.
he's not going
He
to want
knows.
to talk about that with shareholders when
Yeah.
the publishers themselves are saying they're selling the lowest of lows. Like, he's not going to want to bring that up. And this is good, although it doesn't change anything yet, right? Because Nintendo kind of dodged it. So we still need to be vocal about this. We still need to put this external pressure on Nintendo. With
And
videos
also, cards, this problem of cards, okay, is the same problem that is going on with the games lately. I think it was Kiwi that sent the video of this YouTuber that made a video. And I don't know if you know about it already, but is a YouTuber that is known for playing games, I guess. I don't know his name now. He made a petition for, it called Stop Killing Games, for exactly the same issues I just talk about it already, because sometimes you buy a game online and then months after they just shut out the game and you just spend money on something you don't have it anymore, and you cannot play it when you want anymore, you know. So yeah, actually that's the problem with cards too. The problem with cards too is that you buy it and it's not yours. You are seeing it, you are touching it, you bought it, it's in your home and it's not yours. Yeah. Shitty as hell.
like this and conversations like this. But this is good because there's clearly now internal pressure as well. Cracks are
Yes.
forming in the world of game key cards. Internally, they are being told, hey, these are half-baked measures that don't work. And alongside this video, you have external pressure saying, hey, we don't want to buy these. So I'm going to let this video continue, as it's just as relevant now as it was earlier when I filmed it. But I know a lot of people are going to blame the low sales on other things. So let's talk about that. I've seen a lot of people saying that because Mario Kart and Nintendo's own hardware, it priced people out of buying extra games. So
Maybe,
essentially you buy
yeah.
the console, Mario Kart controller, maybe the camera. You're already at like $800. In fact, if you look at
Yeah.
the breakdown of what sold the most at launch, clearly it was Mario Kart and it was Zelda, and then Cyberpunk did really well. So that was the first big third-party
Zelda.
support game people were willing to pick up, because CD Projekt Red did the right thing and opted to sink that cost on a $15 cartridge. So do I think that people got priced out? In general, yes, of course. Of course, most people were only interested in getting Mario Kart, were only interested in getting Zelda. I know it
Yeah,
seems
then
like
they
sometimes
buy
publishers and
the
developers
rest.
have no idea what's going on, but they all have marketing leads. They have people in the business that probably studied for it, that probably went to university, right?
But
They-
I get it. But they should always think about what is gonna out with Nintendo, because if the Nintendo comes out and your game launches in the same time, and your game is not that really known, you it's not a good idea. You should probably wait a bit, like a month or two, to launch a game in a console that is recent, that is new, because when it's about to be a new console, people want, I see that a lot with Nintendo. I don't know about the other ones, but if I'm going to buy a new Nintendo right now, okay, if I'm gonna buy a Switch 2, of course I want Mario. There's no question of it, or Mario or Zelda. But since Zelda has all like the DLC thing and the online shop and all that stuff, Nintendo online stuff, I will buy it probably online too. But I will go and buy Mario, bro. Mario, bro, it's Mario. It's Mario. Even though when I bought my Switch Lite, I didn't ever bought any game. I didn't bought any game. I just went to explore the games that I had online, and I just bought it some online, and that was it. But anyways,
Count for all of the variables and not just a YouTuber sitting in his basement. When they say it's sold
how did we go into virtual cards and live services in the game industry? It goes because people, PC started existing, and after PC started existing, it started existing games on the PC, but it wasn't that wild and all that stuff till 10 years ago that people started to use a lot of PCs to play games. It's basically that. So people, almost every person that has a PC nowadays have an account on Steam. It's impossible. You say, "Oh no, I don't have," because no, it's rare you find someone that has a PC but doesn't have an account, an account. I can talk on Steam. The heck is going on with me? I don't have Steam on my PC, but I have an account on it. Do you get that? Do you get that? It's rare. Someone you say, "Oh, I'm a gamer, I love playing games." And then people ask you, "Oh, where do you play games?" "Oh, I play on PlayStation or on Nintendo and also on my PC." It's rare you don't find, because PCs are more accessible than a full console. And sometimes when people want to play games, or they love that for a hobby, they go into a PC and play. When I was a kid, I just went online to websites that were with games, with flash games, and I spent hours and hours playing flash games in a PC. It wasn't even a console. I was out of home. I was at school, in a library, and I was playing games, bro. That's how it evolved to it. But it shouldn't be like that. I'm not saying the things should stay the same, but these game cards should have the memory of the game and not online. Because doing like, oh yeah, you put the game card in it, the card in it, and it just has a code and goes in and straight downloads it. Why I'm going to the store? Why I'm gonna get out of home, going to the store, buy a game card, a physical thing, to then go to my Nintendo. Go back home, go to my Nintendo, put the card in it, and it just simply goes with a code and straight downloads it from Nintendo Shop. Why having why having all this problem that you have like in a minimal 2 hours doing it, when in 5 minutes you just go and open the shop and you download the game you want? That's why it doesn't work. That's exactly why it doesn't work. Because that's another cards, for what I get it, is that some cards has a little of, no, it was on Nintendo, it was on Switch 1. It wasn't on this one. That's what happened with Just Dance in the Switch 1. They had a virtual cards before. Virtual cards were a thing. Yeah, but Just Dance started to put out like DLCs I think the last Just Dance that actually came out, because it came out every year, but the ones that came out now every year are DLCs that they combine together in one game. So if you want to buy Just Dance, I think it's the version from 2020 or 2021, something like that, in between that, because the rest is just like DLCs that you can combine, into the game. And you have a more complete game. Each year you have a more complete game, which is amazing. I think that's actually kind of for Just Dance. It makes sense, okay, because Just Dance comes out the game every year, and each game has maybe like 60 songs. If you combine all the like 5 games together, do you imagine how many songs you can play? It makes sense. In Just Dance makes sense, but not in games like Zelda, for example. It's just one game. You say, oh, but it's a saga. Yeah, but it's a saga, but each game has a story, a different story. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Each game has a different story. Okay? You don't need to buy the first Zelda that ever came out. Not the first Zelda, but you don't need to buy one Zelda, so you have to buy one to be like the base, and then you buy the other ones to be like layers. Because that's kind of what happens in Just Dance. So in Just Dance it makes sense. But in other games that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, like a story, it doesn't make sense. Okay? It doesn't make sense. Because it starts there, it ends there. And you can play the game lots of times. And Just Dance is basically a game you open and you choose a song to dance. Basically, it's the same thing I do here on PC, on the web, okay? And if I want more songs, I pay for that songs, and I have that songs forever, in my Just Dance account. It's not like they just close the service and you cannot have that games anymore. Or you buy the virtual cards and the game, you don't have that game anymore. No, you buy one Just Dance, and then you have the physical cards. You can buy the physical card, then it goes with the code, and it adds to the game you already have. That's it. It's not like a fully new game. Anyways.
Beyond the lowest of low expectations, what they mean is they expected a number of high, and then
but it kind of still makes sense, even though the box should not be that big, maybe they do a little box, and maybe they should actually do like cards, just as cards, and sell it as a card with a code behind, then you just like, and then you can have the game, I think you get what I want to say. Because buying a full box of plastic that doesn't have anything in it is just stupid to me. It's just stupid to me. Like, that's the reason why. That's one of the reasons. I don't know if I can handle this summer. The summer just started here right now, and I don't know if I can handle. It's too hot. Too much. I hate summer for that reason, but I can't even wake up. If I wake up and stand up, I'm already sweating like crazy. I don't have a sweating problem. What happens? Because someone just decided, oh yeah, let's do lots of plastic boxes to put game cards that are this size. Who had that idea in Nintendo? Who had that idea? I'm so pissed off with this. When did I announce it? The game key cards. I thought they were about to sell in a small thing. No, they do a full box. Okay, what is mine? They do a full box. This size of box, just to put a thing that fits in this middle. Put a thing that fits in this middle. Like, why do you make a box this size for the CD? Okay, you have a CD inside. Okay, this makes sense. Okay, but then you move a box in this size for you to open and be in the same be like a square in the middle. Be like a square in the middle. Why? Who had this stupid idea? Like, I even have one. I even have my Wii Sports in a box that is like this. Okay, it's smaller. Okay, and it's 2 games. Oh, here it is. The other one I talked about, Mario and Sonic Olympics. Do you remember last time we talked about Nintendo stuff? I talked about this one, and I couldn't find it. I knew it had that game. Oh yeah. Anyways, why can you do something like this for the CD? That is this small, but you not can do like cut this in the middle or whatever and do for a game card. Why? Yeah, and you still in. I don't know, bro. I don't know who had that stupid idea, but that. I'm okay. You just.
It's like a low based on all of those variables. They had that expectation because of what their game is, because of how old it is, because of the timing that it's being released, because it's day one on Switch. Like, they take all of that into account, and despite all of that, it was lowest of lows. So I pose to you, if that is the case, if something went wrong, what is the one thing they couldn't account for? Game key cards, because it's never happened before. They didn't know what to expect in that case. It messed up their expectations, and it made it sell at the lowest of lows. So anything that you can hit me with, oh, but it's this, and it's that, and it's this, the developers and publishers expected that. They didn't expect the game key cards to be so universally hated and just people refusing to buy them. And I think any argument in that case is completely destroyed by...
When they announced it, game key cards, people were already pissed off with that. So I think they should be waiting.
Cyberpunk.
Waiting a little bit of it, but not... this, like, boom. It's literally like kaboom. But they probably were waiting something
quite
already.
literally is a 5-year-old game. It's 2 generations ago, despite it barely running on PlayStation 4. And not only that, it's notoriously been panned as bad. They've done a lot to fix it over the years, but you remember my video, and you know how the sentiment of this game has been. It's really a mixed bag of people that hate it and like it and just can't be bothered with it, and they re-released it for $70, and it's the best third-party selling game on the Switch 2 at launch. I feel like I don't have to beat my head against the wall any more than that. Over 80% of the Switch 2 software sales came from physical retailers. Here we hit one of our first problems that I really have with this, and a lot of people should have with this. Nintendo is a nostalgic company. We grew up with Nintendo, and Nintendo feels like a toy. It feels very physical. Nintendo themselves release amiibos, actual toys that we buy and we spend $30, $40 on now because we want Nintendo toys. Nintendo just released an alarm clock, which is essentially an alarm clock toy. Everything about Nintendo is baked in nostalgia. It's GameCube releases on the system again with a physical controller Nintendo made to resemble a GameCube controller that we all lined up and bought. We want to own what we have when it comes to Nintendo, and we want to collect when it comes to Nintendo. Not everybody. Some people like digital, but the point that I'm making is 80% of people want to buy physical. So even though 80% of sales came from physical retailers, it was still beyond the lowest of low for expectations, which means digital isn't doing much better, which means Nintendo is really just shooting themselves and third-party developers and publishers and support on the console in the foot by not having an answer day one to this game key card situation, because everyone wants to buy physical, but nobody wants to buy this physical. And by this physical, I mean I'm pointing at the stack of games I have here. I talked earlier about Splinter
and he bought a lot. He bought a lot.
And things that you probably haven't thought about yet. And here's my biggest one. What sense does it make for a game like Stardew Valley, which is $15 on the eShop, to release a physical on the cartridge when the cartridge costs $15 for them to buy? That leads us in two positions. One, we are just not going to get indie games physicals this time around. Like, that's it. We're not going to get physical games for anything other than games probably over $50 or more, because anyone that has a game under 50 just aren't gonna bother chipping into their profits. So the one way we get through this is we just don't get physicals for games, which sucks. A reason why that sucks too is because at least with eShop indie games, they're always all on the cart because the file sizes are so small. Like, a big issue we face with games like Hogwarts Legacy and Call of Duty on PlayStation 5 is the games are so big, they can't fit on a Blu-ray disc. So the games are literally game key carts. There's almost no data on the disc, and you download the whole game when you put the disc in and connect to the internet. But there's other games that aren't on the disc and they have part of it on the disc. There's almost no way of getting around any of that because the formats just don't get that big. But
like, or you put the full game in the card, or you just don't put it. Or you put a full game in a card, or you just give up on it. Just put it online. There is no in between, Nintendo. There is no in between. You don't need to create in between. People don't need an in between. They need it or the physical version with the full game, or the online version with the full game. That's it. There is no in between. Okay? There's no in between.
You can actually have the whole game on the cartridge. You can actually fit all of Enter the Gungeon on a $20 Switch 1 cartridge and put it in your game room and have the game. Have the game. Not anymore.
Exactly.
Even Puyo Puyo Tetris, a 4 GB game, had to do a game key card, and it was a $40 release. And that's the next thing. We had two options, remember? One, we just don't get them. Two, we get them, but they're $10, $15 more. Either way, for the consumer, we're screwed. Video game prices are either gonna go up because of game key cards, or we're just not going to get physicals. Internal storage is only 250 gigs. And let me tell you, when you're buying games like Hitman, which is 61 gigs on its own, and then you add in Yakuza, which is 57 gigs, then you add in Hogwarts, which is 24 gigs, surprisingly a little bit smaller. Street Fighter is 50 gigs. Just the games in my hand right now will fill up that $60 SD card and leave you almost no room. So while these games
I don't have a big problem with that. Because let me show you how many games I have on my Switch. I don't actually have a big problem with that. Wait a minute. So I know my Switch is light, so it doesn't have too much space. But I don't have a really big problem with that because actually, if you go to my other YouTube channel from the covers, you will see that I had more games when I bought it, my Switch 2. But anyways, this is the games I have. Oh wait, I wish I could zoom this camera for real. Anyways, this is the games. Let me put it. No, wait. One is even downloading stuff. They are starting downloading stuff. They are starting up. This is the games I have. I don't have much more games. I just have this, and it's not even full. And I don't even play this one that much. I don't know why I still have this one because I don't play it that much anymore. I don't know why I still have it. I don't know why I still have it, but I don't play too much. I just play lots of Overwatch, and actually I play lots of Pokemon Unite. And it's just that, the two games that I play on my Switch. So that's not like a big problem for me. But if I buy a Switch 2, probably is gonna be a problem because I will buy the games and I have some games that I bogged and they are not there, like Resident Evil 4. I don't have it there. I don't even know if it fits there anymore, actually. I have FNAF Sister Location. Yeah. And somebody... Wait. Let me go to eShop. I think it shows what games I have. Oh! Now Nintendo eShop is red. Oh, because... You can see I don't go here for a long time. it even has a new thing that calls use code. Use one code. Yo, why is so slow? Hello. Oh my god. Nintendo, are you okay? Why is eShop so slow now? It's just me that I have this problem. What the heck? Okay. Wait a minute. Oh, I just got scared. Whew! I went to like... Oh my god, I just got scared. Anyways, so I have apps like YouTube, Crunchyroll, Twitch, anyways, but the games. I have Cognaut City. I don't have, but you get me. Rocket League, Super Kirby Clash, Fall Guys, Down Place. I don't even know why I have this game. It was my sister actually. Sky Children of the Light, Pokemon Quest, Pokemon Cafe Remix, Apex Legends. I don't know why I have Apex Legends. Fortnite, Blades. I think that game. Was my sister too. Like Smite, I think was my sister too. Overwatch, Disney Speedstorm, but that's the ones that I'm. Suika Game, Among Us, Star Wars Hunters. Why did it? Huh. Then Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location, Resident Evil 4, Portals, and Portals 2. Portal and Portal 2. Yeah, I have a lot. So all these games doesn't fit there, and I have a card. I have a card.
Cards
So
might seem like they are saving developers and publishers money. They're actually directly hurting those developers and publishers' sales. It's also hurting consumers who really get nothing out of this deal, and any solution or workaround to game key cards actually being viable just cost us more money. I think best case scenario for game key cards, there's Nintendo actually offers variable sizes for carts: 5 gigs, 10 gigs, 20, 32, 64. So something like Puyo Puyo Tetris doesn't need to only have a 64 gig cart or a key cart. But keep the key carts. I'm not against them. There is actually a use case for game key cards that I don't mind, and that's games that are over 64 gigs anyway. Because I don't want 50 gigs of a game on a cartridge just to download the next 20 to make it playable. If the whole game isn't on the cartridge, what's the point? But Bravely Default is 11 gigs. I'm pretty sure if there was a 10 gig cart, the developers would have found a way to make this 10 gigs, and we would have had this physical, and it would have been a $40 physical release, and probably would have sold way better than any other game that was a game key card at launch. This is my plea to you, Nintendo. Make more cartridges. I don't know why you're not. There has to be a reason beyond just we don't want to. It doesn't even make sense for your own games like Mario Kart to be on a 64 gigabyte cartridge. So maybe it's a chip shortage, maybe it's tariff related, maybe it's because you can't find a way to make smaller cards this fast. But please find some sort of solution, because as it is right now, physical sales are taking a huge dump, and the third-party developers that have supported this console at launch that you've regained the trust of are being let down. But more than anything, us, the consumers, are being let down, because we are, at our core, Nintendo fans. We want to
guess what? If Nintendo fails to developers will not do more games for Nintendo, and people will not buy the Nintendo Switch anymore, because some games they want to play, they can play on a PC, for example. Probably not the same. Probably not with the same quality, but they play on a PC and people aren't happy, you know? Yeah. Artemis just came in and said, hi. Mom can finally close the door. So yeah, anyways, keep it going.
We want to own, we want to cherish, we want to appreciate, and we don't want to feel like we have to buy a digital game out of spite. I don't think that's an ecosystem you want to foster. I think you want those things flying off the shelf, don't you? I think you want this to go insane, not just for you, Nintendo, to make money off your $80 new game. I think you want your third parties to do well as well, right? Like, I think that's a very important part of all of this, because you don't want to have another Wii U. All right, that's it. Nintendo, please fix it.
I love
and
Wii U,
if you
but
also share the sentiment of this video, just let
it.
me know down below. But mostly, if you agree and you think this is an issue, share it.
Here we share, and we share it with heart. So
around. Help this video get exposure, and I know I'm saying that because obviously I want my video
I'm doing
to do
that
well,
right
but
now.
Also, the more people that react to this situation and the more people that are vocal about what the issue is, the more likely it is that this will get fixed. And I really need it to get fixed, because I am not lying when I say I'm seriously considering just going digital and not supporting this. All right, I love you guys. Bye.
Bye. I think that's it.